Welcome, everybody. Doug Barry here. How you doing? Good to have you out there. Follow-up video from just a few days ago. There's a lot happening, spiraling fast. Yes, we see this in different news stories, things that are happening right now. In particular, we're going to focus on one particular thing. A lot of particulars going on here, and that is, are we trusting man too much? You know, one of the things I've been saying since President Trump was elected, and don't get me wrong, I like this man in many, many ways. I like a lot of what he's doing. Not everything, but I like a lot of what he's doing. But there is this, what we call Trump effect. You've heard this term, right? The Trump effect that has really impacted a lot of people in a lot of ways. And much of it very positive. Borders much more secure. We're rounding up a lot of the bad people and getting them out of the country and so forth. And yes, we're seeing a lot of good things happen. But now we see something that really is throwing a lot of people for quite a loop. And that is this argument between Elon Musk and President Trump. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds of it, but you're familiar with these two gentlemen, obviously, and this situation that we've seen unfold where Elon Musk was head of Doge and finding all kinds of abuse when it comes to financial, corruption in our government. And that's a good thing. These two seemed like they were just the best friends. And then the big, beautiful bill happened. And under the big, beautiful bill, Elon Musk came out and criticized it. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds of the back and forth because that's ongoing. You can look that up if you want. I think there's far too much emphasis placed on who said what, when they said this, and so forth. We do dwell on that stuff a lot. And then it gets us pretty worked up and pretty upset in many cases. I've done this too in the past. I don't do it so much anymore. I don't get shaken by this kind of stuff like I used to because these are men. They're imperfect. These things happen. We don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know the details. We don't even understand why this was said. Is there some strategy going on here? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Well, but I read this article, Doug, and I saw this headline. Well, so-and-so said this. You have the Democrats at one point who couldn't stand Elon Musk. He was a Nazi to them. We kept hearing this. He was a tyrant. He wanted to steal our money. And now many of them, some of them are saying, in fact, Chuck Schumer came out and said, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I agree with Elon. And now there's a lot more of an appreciation for him. It's interesting when we see these things unfold because even Democrats are calling some Democrats hypocrites. This emphasis that we place on man really fixing our problems is a problem in and of itself. And before I get into more to that, we're going to break this down a bit more. I want you to consider this, brcoalition.com/sign up. You see that on the bottom of the screen there. Click the link in the description and go sign up for a webinar that I'm doing on June 11th and 12th. And you click that link, it'll take you out there. You can sign up for it. It's a free webinar. We're going to be addressing Marian apparitions, in particular, how they apply to us right here and now in our world. And these are the types of things like this situation we see regarding the power of man and all this emphasis that people place and the worry that we fall into when those things don't work out the way we'd like them to. And it creates a lot of stress on a lot of people. Well, the Blessed Mother has spoken about this. The Gospels speak about this. And so go on out, brcoalition.com/sign up. Sign up for this webinar. I'm going to break down from some unique angles maybe some people haven't thought about. I've been talking about Marian apparitions for 35 years or longer as I've traveled around the country and outside the country, addressing some of the key ones, especially from Our Lady of Fatima in 1917 to now. We're going to address Fatima, Akita, Medjugorje, Garabandal, and many others. Some of them approved, some of them not approved, but still under investigation, but they look incredibly, incredibly fruitful. And so we're going to look at them in different ways and how they apply to what's going on in our world right now and what we really should be thinking about our response, what our response should be to these things. So again, click that link in the description, go out, sign up for that. Because, when it comes to the Blessed Mother, reminding us in many ways, directly and indirectly, we should not be focusing too much on the power of man. Now, I'm not going to over spiritualize this like some people might do. Some people do. And they say God's in control. It doesn't matter what man does. That's not entirely true. God himself puts us in a natural world. And there are natural things that have to happen. Governing people, governing societies, there's an element of that is godly. If the hearts and souls of those involved in that governance are good, then you have good fruit. If they're not good, then you have bad fruit. Father Chad Rippiger wrote a prayer on this. We've discussed this in the past. You can go out to my Doug Barry YouTube channel. I'm not sure if it's on the BR Coalition YouTube channel, but it's a prayer. It's a consecration prayer that Father Chad Rippiger wrote, consecrating our government, those that govern the people, to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. We should be praying every day for those who govern us. And not even just those in our government, such as the president, vice president, their cabinet members, and so forth, or the leaders of other nations. We should be praying for those that govern or lead in our church. You consider about the trust that we put in men. Let's go back to even, Pope Francis. We're all familiar with Pope Francis. He passed away not too long ago. Pope Francis actually led in ways that were very confusing. We heard things that came out of this man's mouth. We saw things that he wrote that actually made things very difficult for people in different ways. Now, he did some good things too, but there were some things that just made us shake our heads in bewilderment. And actually, many people, myself included, felt somewhat, let's say, attacked, right? Scarred, stunned, things that he said and did. Now, we've got Pope Leo XIV in there now. And Pope Leo XIV, the new pontiff, the new vicar of Christ, Pope Leo XIV has done some things different, and some would say he's a Pope Francis 2.0. But the bottom line is we will go back and forth with these debates and these discussions between what Pope said this, what Pope said that, what president said this, what president did that. From President Biden to President Trump, Pope Francis to Pope Leo XIV, and so forth and so forth. And many people will fall into basically, they're going to get into a bit of anxiety over this. I know this because I've already heard of this from both the papal situation to the presidential situation, and even what's going on within the cabinet. And so when these things happen, we have to ask the question, are we putting too much trust in man? And is this trust that we're putting in man setting us up for a type of collapse? Because what's happening in some cases is this, very, very bluntly, very directly. We can trust, and people are trusting so much, even in President Trump, the Trump effect, that they may be backing off on what they should be doing as good, faithful Catholics or Christians of any denomination when it comes to responding to what the Blessed Mother has asked us to do. And she asks nothing of us if it isn't in perfect alignment with the will of her Son. This is a 100% fact. The Blessed Mother is never going to come to the world, and by the way, she can't on her own power. Every Marian apparition, every Marian message that anybody has had, a private locution to something as amazing as the miracle of the sun and what happened in Fatima with 70,000 plus people from 40 miles around seeing the sun spinning in the sky. These things don't happen. Mary doesn't say what she says without her Son directing it and making it possible. But what has she said over and over? Our trust needs to be 100% in God first. From there, our leaders need to be chosen based on our trust and our faith in God. The order of this is essential. C.S. Lewis would say, based on what St. Augustine said, I'll just quote St. Augustine. St. Augustine is the one that basically put it this way. When you have first things first, second things will follow appropriately. I'm paraphrasing here. C.S. Lewis put it this way, when second things become first and first things become second, you'll lose both first and second things. But when second things are in their place and first things are in their place, one flows to the other. St. Augustine takes that to another level. Of course, he lived far before C.S. Lewis, and said that when the order of things are as they should be, God number one, man follows. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, our trust must be put in God 100%. We should be spending more time thinking about praying, talking to God, discussing maybe the truths of God more than we do our politics. But right now, even with this situation between Elon Musk and President Trump, there are going to be people out there, they're going to spend so much time focusing primarily on this controversy back and forth. Did you hear that Elon Musk posted this on X? Yeah, but did you hear that so-and-so said this about what he posted? Yeah, but then Trump and the White House came out and said this. And we will spend a lot of time spinning our wheels on that. And a lot of it is speculation, honestly. It's like commentating before or after a sporting event, football game or baseball game. So-and-so, if they're going to have to do this in order for this, and we know this is going to happen, and we think this and this, and half the time, they're not even right, or they're just talking points to fill time. We do this sometimes. We put so much trust in man. We put so much discussion and time and energy and effort into these things that we're forgetting some of the most important areas we are to be putting trust and energy and effort into. And this is something that the Blessed Mother has said over and over, repeatedly, to make very clear to us. And again, we're going to be discussing this at length, in detail, next week in the webinar on the 11th, June 11th and June 12th. And one of the key things that the Blessed Mother has said over and over is this: the rosary. This is something that must be central in our lives, the root of everything. I know some of you pray the rosary daily. Fantastic. We must be praying this rosary daily. Why? Well, because the Blessed Mother asked us to. In Fatima and many other places, she has said over and over again, pray the rosary daily. What she said to Saint Dominic years ago, one day out through, not Dominic, through, with Saint Dominic, she said, one day I will save the world through the rosary and the scapular. These are the things that our Blessed Mother has said, asking us to do our part in it. If we are spending more time discussing man and what man will do, the situation between Musk and Trump or this pope and that pope, but we're not praying our rosary, we've got things out of order a little bit. So I really want to encourage you. I just can't encourage you enough. Make sure you're praying that rosary daily. Get that fasting in. We should be doing some fasting, visits of adoration to the Blessed Sacrament. Even if it's not an hour of adoration, visits of adoration, getting to confession on a regular basis. These spiritual weaponry sort of things, this armament that God gives us, this is putting on the faith that is mentioned in Ephesians by St. Paul. Put on the armor of God. It's rosary and sacraments. It's calling on that grace of God and putting more trust in what God can do than what man can do. But knowing that God does work through man. There's an order to this, is what I'm saying. Go to brcoalition.com/sign up. Click that link in the description. You see it there. Get signed up for that free webinar. We're going to be breaking this down in detail. There's so much we're going to be addressing in these webinars that I really think will help. Because look, even if you're someone who knows about apparitions, maybe you're someone who has spoken on it. Maybe you're someone who's written books on it. It doesn't hurt. Like, I've spoken on it, written about it for years. I still like to get into it because I know there are new little nuances here and there that I can pick up. Kind of like what Archbishop Fulton Sheen said about the Passion of Jesus, the meditation on the Passion. I used to do the drama of the Passion, the one-man drama for years. And every time I do it, something maybe new could come out. And I remember Fulton Sheen saying, the drama of the Passion, the meditation on the Passion of Jesus is like looking at a beautiful painting. Every time you look at it, you can see one new brushstroke that was placed that you didn't see before, that only emphasizes the beauty and the depth and the richness of that painting. It's the same idea when it comes to even studying, praying about, and discussing really the beauty and the truths of these Marian apparitions, these messages from heaven, from our beautiful, beautiful Blessed Mother, who is only asking one thing of all of us: do whatever he tells you. Do whatever he tells you. So what is God telling us to do? What is her Son telling us to do right now? What is the Holy Spirit inspiring your heart and my heart right this moment to do? I want to break that down again in that webinar coming up next week and encourage you all to really dig deep in the prayer. Put much more trust in your faith, in your relationship with God, and supernatural grace, supernatural power of God than we do in the president, in executive orders. When people say, well, the president signed executive order on the transgender issue, yay, and some people were excited, so was I, that's going to solve the problem, some people thought. I knew it wouldn't. I'm sure many of you knew it wouldn't solve the problem. It doesn't change the hearts just because his pen signs something. That doesn't change the hearts of those out there that are still struggling, those personally battling the whole transgender issue, the problem psychologically, emotionally that they may have, or spiritually. Doesn't solve those problems. One thing that can do so much good for this whole situation, not just the transgender issue, not just the pronoun problem, but the human trafficking and the abortion and all the other issues out there, is what the Blessed Mother has told us to do over and over and over again. So again, brcoalition.com/sign up. Go out there, click that link in the description. Let's get going. Let's get this intensity back that the Blessed Mother always wanted us to have. And I'll close with this thought. The last apparition in Akita, Japan in 1973 to Sister Agnes Sasagawa, God rest her soul now. The Blessed Mother said to her, after she told her about fire that would fall from the sky and a multitude of the world being annihilated, she said this at the very end. She said much more, but we'll discuss in the webinar. But at the very end, she said, the cause of my great sadness. Our Blessed Mother admits her sadness. And the statue, by the way, in the convent in Akita, wept and perspired 101 times. And when they studied the tears and the perspiration, and it bled, it had a stigmata in one of the hands. We'll address that next week in the webinar. What she said was, the cause of my great sadness is the loss of so many souls. She's not sad necessarily because our government programs and policies aren't what they should be. She's not sad. She doesn't say she's sad because our economy isn't as good as it could be. These things are fine. They have their place. I love a good economy, and I love it when our policies and the efforts of the government are good and holy and godly and helping people. Absolutely, that's important. But souls, the loss of souls, that's what Our Lady is really, really calling for. That's the root of the battle, is the battle for the salvation of souls. So with that in mind, I'm going to say farewell on this and encourage you again. Battle Ready Coalition, I'm sorry, brcoalition.com/sign up. brcoalition.com/sign up. Click the link in the description, sign up for that webinar, share this with other people. Let's get this word out. We need as many people as possible on board with Mary's army. Build that army, those warriors that will go into battle for the salvation of souls. God bless and strengthen you all. Put your trust in God before you put it in man. And then pray for those men and women that are in positions of authority. They need our prayers. They play their part. They have a role. We all do, but our leadership has a role. We got to pray for President Trump. Pray for President Trump and Elon Musk. Pray for the conversion of anybody and everybody involved in this. Let's pray more for them than we talk about it. Imagine that. That'd be a lot of prayer, wouldn't it? All right. God bless and strengthen you all. Look forward to seeing you